I believe that we will win. I believe that we can win.
Immigrant rights groups coming together this afternoon on Daly Plaza, demanding that more be done to support migrants arriving in Chicago.
They're looking for safe, dignified housing. They're looking to work and to put food on the table. They're looking to provide an education for their children and medical care for their new babies.
But the South Side has been under-resourced, underfunded for years, for decades. We have schools that need to be reopened. We have buildings that are abandoned that need to be business operated.
Isn't it amazing how that works? You got foreign nationals, illegal aliens coming from all over the world, moving up to Chicago and demanding resources. You got to have some nerve to break into a country, to be an illegal immigrant, go to the U.S. government and protest demanding free food, free housing, and saying, you better give me a goddamn job. Oh, man, that's some bravado. Or that's how the Democrats have incentivized these people. That's how they set things up. They said, look, come one, come all, come to the United States, and we're going to take care of you. We will neglect our own residents. As you just saw that lady there, that black lady from the south side of Chicago complaining, talking about, oh, we need to fix our neighborhood. We got all these problems in our neighborhood. Of course you have all these problems in the south side of Chicago. And you didn't even mention crime. We know how rampant crime is. But your Democrat leadership, Biden, Brandon Johnson, Kamala Harris, and all of them, they don't give a damn about that, because you black women will vote for them again next year at a 95% clip, and black men are going to vote for them in droves too, because you're brainwashed. So because you're brainwashed, they can take advantage of you. They can say, we don't give a damn about you. We're going to completely ignore your situation in the south side of Chicago, and we're going to pull money out of our ass and take care of some foreign nationals. You get what you vote for. This is the Bicycle Podcast. Okay, so things are getting pretty nasty in Chicago. You got 10 buses arriving today from South Texas filled with illegal immigrants, and the Chicago citizens, the taxpayers in Chicago, have been hit with the burden of taking care of these people, of giving them food, of giving them housing, clothes, and of course, PlayStations, Nintendo Switches, and all that. Because look, if you come from Venezuela, if you come from Haiti, if you come from Mexico, Honduras, any of these places, you deserve a Nintendo Switch. And of course, you're going to get the games, the cases, and all of that to go with it. And if you're really nice, we might just give you a PS5. All for free, because the taxpayers are paying for it. But things are getting nasty up there because, like I mentioned months ago, winter is coming. Game of Thrones style. Winter is coming in Chicago. And we know how cold Chicago gets. We know how Chicago can get hit with those winter vortexes. Remember that time a couple of years ago, they had to set the railroads on fire to prevent them from cracking due to the extreme cold. So I said, look, we got all of these people coming up from the southern border, these people from these tropical climates, from these countries that never experience cold, who have never seen snow in their lives. They're moving up to Chicago, and they're about to get slammed with a reality check. So it's so many that the city of Chicago has run out of space for them. We have about 3,000 migrants, over 3,000 migrants, sleeping in police stations. You go to a precinct, you'll just see people laying out over the floor, haven't taken a bath, haven't brushed their teeth and all that, because they give them all these free stuff, but they're kind of low on the hygiene products, and they're not enforcing hygiene either. That's a different story though. But you have thousands of people, thousands of illegal immigrants sleeping in police precincts. Some of them even sleeping in airports. Can you imagine arriving at O'Hare and you just see a bunch of people laid all out throughout the airport, sleeping, a bunch of homeless migrants sleeping all over the place? And it's gotten so bad that the police precincts have run out of space. So you have people sleeping out on the streets. There's this lady, they were saying that she has a kid, the kid is blind. They had no space in the police precinct, so they had to literally go out and sleep on the streets with some cardboard. I wonder if she regrets coming up here with her kid. You moved thousands of miles across the world just to be sleeping on the freezing streets in Chicago. Was your situation that bad? Were you sleeping on icy streets wherever you came from? But hey, the Democrats are allowing this stuff. The Democrats are assisting with these migrants coming up here. The weather dropped to 30 degrees, so people are saying, oh, this is bad. We need to print money. They're demanding that the federal government prints money so they can pay for houses and tents and all of that for them. But what Brandon Johnson has done as a temporary measure, probably a long-term measure too, is he's using these quote-unquote warming buses, which are basically, they take city buses, a bunch of city buses, drive them up to the precincts, drive them up to the homeless shelters and wherever they keep the migrants, and they can sit inside the buses. The buses are on, but they're just sitting idle with the heater on, so they get a chance for a certain amount of time. They can sit inside the bus and warm up before they have to go back outside in the freezing cold weather. This week it's been about 30 degrees, and it's going to get even colder because it's not even winter yet. Let's take a look at these buses.
That's exactly right, Tanya. Right now, there are more than 2,800 migrants living outside of police stations across the city of Chicago, waiting to be placed in shelters. And with the cold and even the snow earlier today starting to set in, thousands of them are having to stay outdoors in flimsy tents. In response, the city has dispatched city buses from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. at 16 Chicago police districts to offer warmth from the colder temperatures. City leaders are still working on establishing those so-called base camps, massive military-style winterized tents across parts of the city. One of these spots will be at 115th and Halsted, where an affordable housing complex is set to break ground next year. We talked to an asylum seeker that has been here for about a month and a half, saying, yes, it's been very, very cold for him and his family, and they're trying to figure out a way to stay in something more stable and more warm. Right now, there have been 11,000 more than 11,000 migrants living in shelters across the city. Volunteers are helping answer the call as best they can as well for those of them. Migrants living outdoors, they've even dropped off, in fact, I'm standing right next to one, a box of warm clothing. There's like jackets and sweaters and shoes and stuff in these boxes at local police stations to at least get some layers on the migrants that have to stay outdoors.
So, quick point of order, I just have a question. I thought the Democrats were all about climate change. The Democrats told us that the greatest threat to us wasn't terrorists, wasn't communism, wasn't Antifa, wasn't the national debt, which is over $33 trillion, wasn't inflation running sky high. They said the sun monster is the greatest threat. They said we need to do all we can or the world is going to end. AOC said the world's about to end in 10 years. John Kerry flying around in his private jet. He's been saying climate change, but now these Democrats, they're okay to use buses, gasoline buses just sitting idle. I guess this is more important because if climate is the greatest threat, shouldn't y'all have a problem with Chicago using dozens of buses over a 12-hour period every night, just sitting idle, burning gas? I guess Greta Thunberg isn't going to go there and protest because this whole sun monster thing is all bull. But anyway, that's a completely different story. So to continue with Chicago, we got the U.S. House representative from somewhere over there in Illinois, somewhere in Chicago, Jonathan Jackson. He went over there, had a meeting, and it was so full because all those residents there, they're pissed off because migrants are being put ahead of them. Veterans, homeless people, people who fallen on hard times, they have to compete with illegal immigrants for resources. So Jeremy Jackson went there and he started bashing Greg Abbott, obviously, because like I said, in every video I talk about this was a genius move. This was a absolute slam dunk move by the Republicans against the Democrats, because normally Republicans just let the Democrats slap them around, but Greg Abbott, damn. That was a great move to send these illegal immigrants right to these Democrats because they're the ones who incentivize open borders. But Jonathan Jackson slammed Greg Abbott. It's all his fault. It's not that the federal government won't let Texas close the border. Not that the federal government is telling Border Patrol to just catch and release these people. It's Greg Abbott's fault because he won't deal with the problem. His cities in Texas have been ravished for decades, but no, it's a problem when he wants to send them to other parts of the country. Just let Texas deal with it. So he slammed Greg Abbott, which is completely ridiculous. Then he started saying, hey, look, the rest of Illinois, y'all need to step up. Even the Republicans in more rural Illinois, because we know Chicago is super blue. We know Springfield is super blue. We got rural areas in Illinois, the southern areas in Illinois. We know these guys are Republicans. So this Democrat representative is saying, look, the rest of Illinois, y'all need to come take some of these illegal immigrants. Y'all need to send some money, and y'all need to open your towns, open your airports, open your police precincts, and let the illegal immigrants come down to you.
The state of Illinois is a sanctuary state. Chicago's a sanctuary city. This is not Chicago's burden alone.
Yeah, of course, we Democrats endorse this. We Democrats talked all this crap about come one, come all. We Democrats have allowed Chicago to be a sanctuary city since the 80s. But hey, if you are a Republican, if you guys are a Republican district in rural Illinois, you guys need to take on this burden. It's not our fault that we've been slammed with illegal immigrants. That guy just sounds utterly ridiculous, because absolutely not. Keep them right there in Chicago. That's, first of all, that's where they want to be. As I showed before, the migrants are asking to go to Chicago. Second of all, if your voters are voting for you guys after you guys push these policies, that's completely on y'all. The burden is completely yours, so I don't want to hear it. But on another note, like that video just showed, they're going to rent out this space. So there's this big empty field. The city of Chicago just signed a lease for this empty field. $91,000 a month. What the hell? What value are you getting from a abandoned field that used to be used for some industrial work long time ago, back in the 80s and 90s, and now it's just an unused piece of land? Chicago leased it for 91 grand a month. What the hell is going on? Because it sounds like money laundering. Whoever this corporation is, the people who own this land, and the aldermen, the city council members, whoever did the research and found this and made this deal, it sounds like some major kickback going on, because ain't nowhere in hell an empty field that you got to come fix up yourself and all that should be $91,000 a month, even if it's a couple of acres. Like, no way. So I think some people are getting rich off this illegal immigrant thing. And while some other Democrats may protest and bitch, a lot of these people are happy about it. A lot of these people in power in Chicago are happy that the illegal immigrants are coming, because it allows them, just like I was talking about in New York, how they're spending millions of dollars to watch the dirty draws of illegal immigrants. Stuff like this allows people in power, nepotism, people getting kickbacks, people, if you know somebody in the right place, if the mayor is related to or has some type of business relationship with laundry services, with these housing services, with the company that owns this field, it sounds like the money is circling through a small group of individuals and they're getting rich off of it, while the residents are being completely assed out. But I'm not going to feel sorry for y'all Chicago residents, because you guys vote for these corrupt Democrat leaders. So change your voting patterns and maybe stuff like this won't happen. But there's a lawsuit. The residents are trying to stop this. And they're saying, hey, look, this place used to be used for industrial type work. There's all types of chemicals in the soil and all that. So it's not suitable. So they're trying to get an emergency injunction to kill the lease. But I don't think that's going to work, because what these people aren't understanding, they're trying to run lawsuits. They're protesting, they're bitching, they're crying. They're running sob stories. What they're not understanding is that Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, doesn't work for the citizens of Chicago. Back in the day, old school America, yeah, he would have worked for Chicago. The mayor of Chicago worked for Chicago then, because cities were more isolated. The world was more spaced out. The world was bigger. So you're a mayor of a city, you come up with a plan to run your own city in the best way you see fit. But it doesn't work like that nowadays, because the Democrats are a hive mind. So every city in America that's run by Democrats, which is like 99% of large cities, every city has to operate under the same policies, under the same way. The DNC, the powers that be, the Democrat Party, push down their policies on how cities should work. So it's not in the best interest of a individual city, of a specific location in America. The cities are run by what the party sees as the best way to push their agenda and their policies on the masses. And this is a reason why these immigrants can't be deported by somebody like Brandon Johnson. They're not going to be allowed to remove the sanctuary city status because the DNC, the powers that be, people who don't even live or give a damn about Chicago, they decide on the policies of Chicago. Brandon Johnson is not really an executive in Chicago. He's a manager. That he's somebody that the DNC allows to hold that position. Look, as long as you do what the hell we tell you to do, you can sit in this position, you can build up your political career, your resume, and of course you can run some corruption with these organizations, do some money laundering and all that. But if you get out of line, we might come for you. We might have to replace you. Like Eric Adams, we see what happened in New York just a few days ago. The FBI raided the home of Eric Adams' largest donor because the DNC is sending a message. Look, man, we're all corrupt. We all run money. We all do all types of corrupt, shady business practices inside the United States and with foreign nationals. And it's okay, Eric Adams, you can run your money too, but you're getting out of line. Eric Adams has been criticizing Joe Biden for months, talking about how terrible Joe Biden's policies have been for the city of New York. So the DNC had to send a message to say, if you keep getting out of line, they pulled out the whip on them. They said, look, boy, if you keep getting out of line, we might have to kick your ass out of office. We might have to have you impeached. We might just lock you up. Who knows? You see what happened to Andrew Cuomo, right? He went from the greatest governor in the country, a potential presidential candidate, to a goddamn nobody in the blink of an eye because he got a line. Because he became a liability to the larger Democrat Party. So a person like Brandon Johnson, if he knows what's best for him, if he wants to run his money, if he wants to get rich, and if he wants to maintain his power, then he has to go along to get along. He has to do what the hell the DNC tells him, which basically means what I'm saying with all this is all this protest and all that is useless because the DNC, the largest Democrat Party, is determining the policies of Chicago. And speaking of sanctuary city policies, they actually tried. There's going to be a vote next spring in Chicago, so they wanted to add the aldermen. A couple of aldermen tried to add to the ballot whether or not Chicago should remain a sanctuary city, and it became pretty heated. So a lot of the Democrats actually ducked the meeting. They didn't go into the room. They were in the building outside peeking into the door, but they wouldn't walk in, which basically sank the vote. They didn't show up, and the vote automatically failed. They were in there arguing. It got pretty nasty. And at one point, one of the more right-leaning aldermen, he told the sergeant at arms, hey, look, go out there into the foyer, grab those other aldermen, those hard left aldermen, and bring their asses inside and make them vote. I don't know. Some states and some cities have that type of authority. Like I know the Texas Rangers, if you're a representative in the state of Texas, the Rangers can literally drag your ass to the state capitol if there's a vote. But that didn't happen up there in Chicago. And let's look at what one of these aldermen had to say about where his mindset is, where his priorities are.
I'm leaving because right now I have potholes, trees to get trimmed, and I have a host of other things that our residents in the 6th Ward want me to deal with.
So hundreds of millions of dollars being spent. You got a full-blown migrant crisis. Residents are being pissed off. Money laundering going on. And you say, look, man, I got potholes and I got trees to be trimmed. That's basically him saying, F you, Chicago residents. We're going to keep this place a sanctuary city. I'm not even going to go in there to vote on it. I'm not even going to give it time of day. A pothole is more important to me than the illegal immigrant crisis in Chicago. And hey, you guys in the 6th Ward of Chicago, y'all put him in power. So good luck, Chicago, with all that. We're going to move on to another story. We're going to talk about some other left-wing hard Democrat policies that have backfired, specifically in California and in some other parts of the country. Fast food minimum wage. We're going to look at that. But first, a word from my sponsor, me, the Vice Signal Merch Store. As we discuss today's topics and ideas, remember that your values and your ideas can be expressed by the things that you wear. Check out our thoughtfully curated merchandise celebrating traditional values and government restraint. Explore our unique collection, starting with the Supreme Style tinfoil hat, a statement piece that embodies our commitment to critical thinking and pushing back against the norm. Make a statement with the Free Trump shirt, boldly displaying the captivating mugshot of the former president, which instantly became the most famous picture in the world. At the Bicycle Merch Store, we're more than just products. We're a community dedicated to celebrating and defending traditional values. Sign up for promotions and receive 10% off your very first order. Don't miss out on these exceptional items. Embrace tradition, champion freedom, and shop now at tvsmerch.com. Well. It's almost as if people like me can predict the future, because we warned y'all. We told you guys that if you went out there and continued with all that, fight for 15, which turned into fight for 22, and demanded and forced these companies to pay a certain wage, that it was going to cause a cascading effect. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video, could have been a month ago, I did a video about Gavin Newsom and California, how they raised the minimum wage for fast food workers in the state of California to $20 an hour, which meant 500,000 fast food workers in the state of California, at bare minimum, you have to pay them $20 an hour. Even if it's a snotty brat 16-year-old kid, you got to pay this guy $20 an hour to flip burgers, to mop, to take out trash, whatever he's doing. You're paying him a fixed wage, a wage forced on the industry by the government. So we said, look, if you do stuff like this, the prices in the entire supply chain are going to go up. And specifically regarding fast food, what's going to happen quickly is you're going to see price hikes, major price hikes in the industry. You're going to go to McDonald's and see outrageous prices, and then you're going to have a bunch of boomers reminiscing. Oh, I remember the cheeseburger was 35 cents. I paid $2 for a Big Mac combo. You're going to hear all that, which we're seeing a lot of online right now, because look at this headline. The price of a Big Mac combo is $18 in some places. People don't understand the link between labor costs and retail prices. So if these workers were making $5.15, when I started working, that was the minimum wage back in the day, $5.15 an hour. If they're making that, maybe you can charge $7, maybe even $5 for a Big Mac combo. But when these workers' wages were bumped up because of forced minimum wage, like in LA County, $16.04 an hour, when people were flipping burgers for $16 an hour in LA County and the price of a Big Mac combo was $15, people were like, oh my God, what happened? McDonald's is being greedy, not understanding that you guys forced McDonald's into this situation by forcing them to pay a certain wage for labor. Now you have to pay them $20 an hour. So we're going to see the price rise yet again. People just aren't putting two and two together. So let's look at this Yahoo article here. Let's see some details, see what's going on here. McDonald's is facing intense backlash from its customers after one Connecticut branch charged $18 for a Big Mac combo meal. And Connecticut, that's right there in the New York area. You know, Connecticut is a really small state. It's basically an extension of the New York City metro area. And the wages for McDonald's workers over there are high as hell too. which includes a Big Mac, medium fries, and a medium software drink. Damn, that's not even a large. You say super sizes, you might be over $20 for this combo. McDonald's CFO Ian Borden confirmed in an earnings call with investors that by the end of this year, the price of menu items will have increased by 10% since the start of the year, and this happened last year too. So you're seeing this outrage. You can see how they put the exclamation point here to try to show, oh, this is a big deal. This is shocking news, which isn't shocking at all. If you force McDonald's to pay these high wages, the retail prices for food is going to be high. But they're just trying to say McDonald's is being greedy. And here's what I have to say about McDonald's being greedy. A business should push its prices. You got to find that happy medium. So there's a certain area in the price range for your product where you can get the maximized amount of money. So if you sell them for too cheap, you'll sell a larger volume, but your profit will go down. If you increase the prices too much, your volume is going to go down, and also your customer base is going to go down, because the higher the price goes, the more customers walk away. So you got to find that middle ground. What's the highest I can increase it without losing too many customers, but also without sacrificing too much profit? So McDonald's they're moving around. They're trying to shift it. Okay, I'm selling the Big Mac for $15. Can I get a little more? If I raise it up to $16, how many customers walk away? Not that many walked away. Okay, let's try $17. Oh, they're still not walking away. So they're going to bump it up just like Starbucks did with them Frappuccinos. $4 for a Frappuccino, $5. It's $8 now, because they're trying to see how much are these people willing to pay. The masses, how much are the masses willing to pay for this product? So if McDonald's is raising their prices by 10% and they're not losing too many customers, it shows them, yeah, this price is okay. So this is just economics. They can raise their prices as long as people are willing to buy. So that's on the consumers. McDonald's net income rose from $1.9 billion last year to $2.3 billion this year, and much of this increase can be attributed to the 8.1% increase in price hikes. With these expensive new prices, many customers are saying it's just not worth it anymore. Well, that's good. Not only for your pocketbook, but it's good for your health. I mean, just look at this thing, man. The thing about McDonald's, the major selling point for the longest was, okay, it's a decent burger. It's not the highest quality. I mean, it's not pig slop. Some might say it is. It's not trash or pig slop, but it's also not a high-end delicious burger. But we can get you a burger, a decent burger, for a cheap price. And that's what has allowed them to make all this money. So you're saying, I understand this burger isn't just the most delicious Chef Ramsay level burger, but I can get it within 5 minutes and I can get it for a cheap price, and that's what I'm going to take. But now people are balking because you have this burger which isn't a high-end burger, but it seems like the prices are high-end. In a viral Reddit thread in which one user asks, what is no longer worth it because of how expensive it has become? The top answer is most fast food, with angry McDonald's customers making up the majority of the replies. A value meal at McDonald's now costs just as much as a meal at a lot of sit-down restaurants, one user wrote. It's insane, they added. Yeah, I actually said that a couple months ago, not specifically about McDonald's, but fast food general. If you go to most fast food restaurants, you can expect to spend $15 to $20 a person. And I was like, damn, you go to Chili's or Applebee's for less than that. You can go to Olive Garden for that damn price. So why should I get fast food when I get a little bit higher quality at a sit-down restaurant? I can go to Buffalo Wild Wings and get a nice combo for $15, $20 a person. So why the hell would I go to McDonald's when this restaurant is way better? So at that point, the only thing these restaurants have is speed. They can just, same prices, but they can just give you their food way faster. Another customer wrote, starting to look like some local places offer better choices and lower prices than McDonald's. Another reason not to go there. One user thought back on their college days, writing, I remember the 8 for 88 cents menu. I don't know how long ago this was. That was before my time. Oh, and I think it was Tuesdays that they used to do hamburgers for 39 cents and cheeseburgers for 49 cents. Yeah, that was definitely before my time. A fourth customer wrote, "Something's got to give because I should not be paying $5 for a large fry. As long as McDonald's has those prices, I won't be going." Well, good for you, because people should be cooking at home anyway. It's outrageous. One of the biggest holes in people's pockets, one of the biggest hits in people's budgets, which most people don't do a written budget, which they should. But when we talk about financial responsibility, you don't need to be going eating fast food all the time, because it's expensive as hell. You're spending $15 per person per meal. Over the course of 30 days, over the course of a month, that's a lot of goddamn money, especially if you're going for lunch and dinner. Yeah, it's way too much. And on top of that, this food ain't the healthiest, man. It's filled with sodium, and certain groups like black people have high blood pressure issues. People have high cholesterol issues. So when you cook at home, you can control your ingredients more. You can make healthier choices, and it's way cheaper. So you just have to find a way to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more convenient if you're looking at fast food all the time because it's fast and you don't want to cook. Is it really faster to get up and drive to the fast food restaurant, buy their slop, and then come back versus making a quick meal at home with less of the unhealthy stuff added to it, a healthier meal for a lower price? So it's a good thing. Just more people need to stay away. In fact, they should increase their prices even more to incentivize more people to start cooking at home. One commenter even wrote, "Well, the food quality has cratered and the prices has gone up. This strategy may work for a minute, but in the end, they will end up just being another Hardee's or Burger Chef." So here's the thing about this. People's wages have gone up. People are making $20-some an hour, $30-some an hour, $40-some an hour, versus back in the day when a lot of people, the average worker was making less than $10 an hour. People were making $12 to $15 an hour. In some cities, if you made $17 an hour, man, they were like, "Damn, that's fantastic. That's awesome." But because of all of these price hikes, because of inflation, because people have demanded to be paid certain amounts, the prices of the entire supply chain have increased. The price of gas has gone up. The price of rent has gone up. The prices of houses is so high that the average person in America cannot afford to buy a house. That American dream, quote unquote, buying a house, getting a picket fence. No, you have to make a ton of money. You have to be upper class, either high middle class or above, in order to buy a house in the United States, or team up with some people, combine income, try to buy a house. But prices are going up across the board, which is why I said when I saw those people out there celebrating with Gavin Newsom, I don't know why he's celebrating, because it's a lateral move. You bump your pay up by 25%. Your rent's going to go up by 25%. The food at the grocery store are going to go up by 25%. Your clothes at Target, Walmart, wherever you buy your clothes, are going to go up by 25%. Everything goes up. So you're in the same boat with bigger numbers. And like I showed at the beginning of this segment, AI is getting better and better. Even the robots, the non-AI robots. So these things have been around forever. We've all seen these robots working in fast food restaurants, but the technology is accelerating. It's not just increasing on a linear scale, but it's increasing on an exponential scale. We're getting to the point where restaurants can operate with a very few workers, and those workers are really just the cleanup crew, maybe, because the robots are going to be doing that, and the maintenance guys, the guys that just make sure that the machines are working properly. So these guys saying fight for 22 and fight for 15. Yeah, we got our $20 an hour. Suck it, Jack in the Box. Suck it, McDonald's, because you guys agreed. Guess what? Your hours are about to get cut. Maybe down to zero in some places, because you guys are going to be replaced by robots, just like customer service reps, just like the phone operator got replaced by a computer, just like cashiers in a lot of these stores, gas stations, Walmart, self-checkout. These cashiers have been replaced. Fast food workers. AI and computers are going to start replacing you even faster, because what has happened is, by jacking up the labor costs you've incentivized the fast food industry to invest even more into their technology so they can reduce their prices. These guys owe money. They owe obligation to their shareholders to maximize profit. So having you there for $20 an hour, and if you're experienced, are you making $25 an hour flip burgers? Having you there for that much money versus having Flippy the fly flipper or that robot waitress that we saw delivering the burgers to the table is way cheaper, and it's going to get even cheaper to have those robots there versus having all this human labor there. I advise people who work in these places, because I know it absolutely sucks, especially when you're on those night shifts or rush hours working in these fast food restaurants. You feel like you've been worked to death. They're working your fingers to the bone for a little money. The key is not to force them to pay you more, because that's a lateral move. The key is to get your own skill set up so you can go out away from this fast food industry and get your money up like that. But let's talk about another story. Let's dig into some politics. Let's see what the hell is going on with Ron DeSantis. So Ron DeSantis isn't doing so well. People talked him up so much last year, talking about, oh, he should be the president. We don't need Trump anymore. We got Ron DeSantis. He's younger, has more energy. He doesn't have the baggage that Trump has. So people pushed him as a viable alternative. But what's happened is, ever since Ron DeSantis officially announced that he was running for president, and when he started to attack Trump, after Trump attacked him first, of course, is he sank in the polls. His poll numbers basically cut in half. He went from being close to Trump, being within 10 points. This guy is down in the polls by 46 points now. But he's went to Iowa. Iowa's a first state, unlike in the Democrat primary where they made South Carolina the first state because they want Joe Biden to have the black vote in South Carolina, knowing that Joe Biden will lose Iowa, but that's a different story. Ron DeSantis has went to Iowa and has gone all in on Iowa. All of his time, all of his resources. He's down there in Iowa trying to get the first state, thinking that if he can get Iowa, then he can gain momentum back, because Ramaswamy and warmonger Nikki Haley have gained ground on him. In fact, in some polls, warmonger Nikki Haley is actually tied with DeSantis. So Ron DeSantis actually got some good news yesterday. It's been announced that the governor, the Republican governor of Iowa, is going to endorse him. I saw her being pretty friendly, pretty cozy with Ramaswamy. I wasn't sure if she was going to go with Trump, Ramaswamy, but she's going DeSantis. She's going the way of a lot of establishment types. Like, you got Ben Shapiro. He's been on his knees praising DeSantis every step of the way and pretty salty about the fact that DeSantis has slipped tremendously in the polls. You got Fox News, who bashes Trump, who is not friends with Trump. See what they did with Tucker Carlson. They're pretty pro DeSantis too. So he got a big endorsement coming up, and I think she's going to announce it either today, tomorrow, sometime soon. But let's take a look.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Want to hit on some breaking news today. This is according to Politico. In this tweet, they say that the Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds to endorse DeSantis for president. Now, this is big news for DeSantis and his campaign, because we know that he has long been trailing far behind former President Donald Trump.
So he got this big endorsement, but that doesn't stop him from being desperate, because one of my problems that I had with Ron DeSantis was this guy is starting to give life like a rhino. He's starting to sound like a rhino, because he's giving life to Democrat talking points solely for political gain. All of this witch hunt nonsense that they put on Trump, all of these indictments talking about removing Trump from the ballot, talking about he shouldn't be president because he's a criminal, all of this nonsense that the Democrats have created. They created indictments and said, hey, he should be president because he has indictments. Didn't you guys just pull an indictment out of your ass? But DeSantis is giving life to statements like this, knowing it's a witch hunt. He's still pushing it, saying, oh, if Trump is indicted, he shouldn't be the nominee. Let's take a look at DeSantis first trying to explain himself, explain what's going wrong in his campaign, explain what he's doing, and then let's look at his statement on Trump and this Democrat witch hunt.
You know, it's interesting. Joe Biden may have spent a lot of time in his basement, but he'd climb out of that basement to debate other Democrats and Republicans.
That's true.
And Trump won't even get out of wherever he's staying.
Well, and also, you look back, you know, Joe Biden did debate. You're right. That first debate against Biden, Biden beat Trump. I mean, I had a bunch of people. We were excited for it. And we were stunned at the end of that debate about how bad it was, and it did hurt his numbers, and I think had an impact on the election. So he needs to prove to Republicans that he's going to be somebody that's going to be able to be up there and get the job done. But you're right. When he's off the teleprompter now, you do see things where he's saying things about not voting, where he's saying things about, you know, there was no way he was going to have Mexico pay for the wall. A lot of these different things. I think you got to go up there. You got to be able to speak from the heart. When we're out there campaigning, I'm not using a teleprompter. I'm just out there speaking and telling people what I believe.
So what is your assessment now as we look at real clear averages that have you down 46 points to Donald Trump? You've been much closer at the beginning. What's your assessment of the way this campaign has gone over the last 6 months?
Well, look, Willie, when we got into the race, we were bracing for these indictments. I think it's helped them. I think it's sucked out the oxygen, and we knew it was going to be a brutal summer. I was not somebody that thought nationally we were going to see major movement in those national polls. It's a state-by-state process. So we've worked really hard to lay the groundwork in all the early states. You know, that's not necessarily something that shows up in a poll, but I think if you look at what we've done, we've built a foundation. Now we're in a position where we're in the home stretch.
There are people, Governor, who say as they look at that Iowa poll we just had up there where you're still down 27 points that perhaps your theory of the case is to just hang in there, hang around, because if some of these indictments turn into convictions for Donald Trump, finally Republicans will abandon him. Is that a fair assessment?
Not really. I mean, I think so far all those cases have actually helped him because I think it has rallied support because I think people are sympathetic. But I think what you see, and I think Joe's right, in Iowa, he's got some hard support, but a lot of those people are looking at other candidates, and so their default is Trump. He's the most famous person in politics. We understand that. But when we get in there and show that we're a viable alternative, someone that will fight for them, but also fight smartly so we can win again as Republicans, and not just the election, but actually deliver on our promises and then lead with a positive vision to bring about a great America comeback. If we do that, we're going to be in good shape and we're going to be able to do it. But people are not locked in. I mean, that is very true. And in Iowa, I don't think they're locking in. New Hampshire, they're not locking in. So we're doing it. I'm not hoping for any type of special intervention. We're going to go win it by convincing the plurality of the voters that we're the best choice.
And you did say, Governor, at that August debate when the question was put to the entire panel, if Donald Trump is convicted, will you still, and he is the nominee, would you still support him? And you raised your hand. You're a lawyer. You've served in the Navy. You were well trained at the greatest schools. Do you really believe that a man who's convicted of, say, attempting to overturn the 2020 election or taking nuclear secrets back to his beach club, do you actually still, as we sit here today, believe that person should be president?
So I signed a pledge, Willie, and that pledge is what it is. Now, do I think somebody under those circumstances could get elected president? The answer is no. That will not happen. I think that Republican voters will understand that as we get closer to voting. But it would be fatal in a general election. And I don't think the party should nominate in that situation. However, you know, I signed the pledge. I'm a Republican. I don't think it's going to come to that, and I think we'll get the job done like we need to. But the reality is I signed it, and that's what I did.
So you stand by that this morning?
Yeah, when I signed the pledge, you know, I knew you never know what's going to happen. It's a crazy process. People make different decisions, and I think my point of view on it was, you know, I'm participating in this process. I've got the plan to win. We're going to win. At the same time, it's like you can't just take your ball and go home. You can't on the one side of your mouth say the country's in decline, Biden's failing, and on the other hand say, you know, I'm just going to pout if things don't go my way. So that was kind of my rationale for doing it.
So Desantis is trying to play both sides here. He wants to say, well, I made a pledge at the debate. I said I was going to support the nominee, but the RNC, the party, shouldn't allow Trump to be the nominee. So you're trying to say, hey, look, Trump voters, I like Trump. I'm not going along with the Democrat thing, but at the same time, hey, RNC, you guys need to make sure that Trump is not the guy. And he's pushing this stuff as if there's actually any validity to this Democrat witch hunt, as if Trump actually committed crimes like election interference and tried to overthrow the country. You really believe that, Ron DeSantis, or are you just trying to score political points? Because you're sitting here on MSNBC, the most radical left-wing major network there is, talking crap about Trump. You think these people give a damn about you? You think they give a damn about your policies? You think they want to hear what you did in Florida, or how you fought against the left-wing media, how you raised the education level up in Florida, how you increased jobs in Florida, how Florida unemployment levels was way lower? They tried to call you a murderer after you lifted the lockdown policies. People from New York and California were flocking to Florida. They don't want to hear any of those great things about you. They just want you on there to be their useful idiot. Ron DeSantis, we only want you on here if we can get you to talk crap about Trump, because all we care about is talking crap about Trump. That's what we love to do, and that's what our viewers love to hear. So we'll have you on here as our useful idiots, but none of us will ever vote for you. So I don't even know what the hell you're doing there. But Republicans won't flock to you. Trump supporters, because Trump owns the Republican Party right now. The vast majority of Republican voters are MAGA, as we can see in the polls. These guys are not going to flock to you if you're on here talking about, well, yeah, if Trump is indicted by a Democrat witch hunt, he shouldn't be the president. He shouldn't be the nominee. So I don't know what the hell you think you're trying to accomplish by doing that, but it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible political strategy. I understand Trump was bashing you, but you could have just said, look, man, look at my record. Look at what I've done. I'm not against Trump. Trump had great policies, but I'm better. I can actually keep more promises. I can get more done. So I'll be Trump 2.0. But you going on Democrat left-wing media bashing Trump, using Democrat talking points to bash Trump, that's just going to make people dislike you even more. And this is what frustrates me about DeSantis, because we saw him in Florida. We saw him being the best governor in the country. We saw him being one of the best Republican leaders out of a massive slew of Republicans deep in the swamp. The Republican Party is filled with rhinos and swamp creatures. And we saw DeSantis stand out among them and look pretty good. And that's one of the reasons why people pushed him to be president, because this is what we're expecting. He fought against left-wing talking points all the time down there in Florida. He made them look absolutely silly with all of that fear-mongering they were talking about with COVID-19, the don't say gay bill, all that crap. He made them look terrible. But what he can't do, he can't blast the media now with their witch hunt on Trump. He went on MSNBC. They're sitting here looking to bash Trump. They're waiting on him to say something to bash Trump. He should have bashed them. He should have absolutely blasted them and called them out on their witch hunt. He should have called out the entire DNC, the Democrat Party, the House of Representatives, for those bogus impeachments. He should have called out New York and Georgia, Fat Albert up there in New York, corrupt DA who was sleeping with a drug dealer down there in Atlanta. He should have called them out. He should have absolutely put them on blast and showed those MSNBC viewers how corrupt this whole thing is, how much of a witch hunt it is, how it's something that you would see in a banana Republican. But no, he didn't do that. He said, you know what? I know that I should blast you for it, but I'm not going to do it because I'm desperate. My poll numbers are terrible. I'm tied with warmonger Nikki Haley in the polls. Trump is up by 46 points. So I'm going to use your Democrat talking points, hoping that Republicans vote for me. Bro, what the hell? I saw this stuff from Mike Pence, and we definitely see it from Krispy Kreme, Fat Chris Christie. We see it from him. I never expected the Senators to do stuff like this. It's just so frustrating because you're talking about a guy with enormous potential. But his campaign is just going terrible. It's a sad sight to see. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, share it, and I'll see you guys next time.